Hare Krishna. Today we'll be visiting different places of Antardwip. We'll begin our Parikrama today by visiting Srivas angan, then Murari Gupta Prabhu's house, and then we'll end today's Parikrama by visiting the house of Chandrasekhar Acharya, where we'll be visiting the Samadhi Mandir of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Radha Kund, Syam Kund, Giri Govardhan, and the Bhajan Kutir of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Let's begin. Hare Krishna.
Bolo, bolo, bolo. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare
Right now we are at Srivas Angan. This place is non-different from Rasa Sthali in Vrindavan Dham, where Krishna performed his Rasa dance with the gopis of Vrindavan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would perform all-night kirtan with his intimate associates in this very place that we are residing right now. Lord Nityananda Prabhu's mercy is beautifully exhibited in the life of Jiva Goswami here. The first historical Nabadwip Mandala Parikram was taken out by Nityananda Prabhu himself. Srivas Thakur, Jiva Goswami, Baninath Prabhu and others partook in this first parikrama. When Nityananda Prabhu brought Jiva Goswami to this place, as soon as Jiva Goswami entered Srivas Angan, thinking about the beautiful pastime that took place in this very place, Jiva Goswami fell unconscious on the ground. When Jiva Goswami came back to consciousness, he actually saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu along with all his associates chanting and dancing in ecstatic love of Godhead. This is the first time Jiva Goswami is actually seeing the Sankirtan Leela in Nabadwip Dham in this very place. Seeing this most amazing Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan Leela in Srivas Angan, again Jiva Goswami fell unconscious. When he came back to consciousness again, he could not see the pastime again. Nityananda Prabhu embraced him, showered him with mercy. This is the place of Kirtan. Mahaprabhu would come very often, even during the daytime, and perform many pastimes, what to speak of all night long kirtan and so many other amazing pastimes.
Krishna Padaya, Krishna Prasthaya, Bhutale, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami, Edinamene, Namaste, Saraswati Devi, Oravani Vacharene, Nidisai Sasanavadi, Acharya Dasatarene. Today, we're visiting Srivas Angan. the house of Srivas Thakur. Lord Chaitanya would refer to this house sometimes as an ashram and sometimes as a temple, because Grihastha lives in an ashram according to the varnashram system, Chatra Varna and Chatra Ashram. So Grihastha ashram is one. But in his house, he had a temple of Krishna. But also, he would refer to his house as a temple. And Lord Chaitanya went to Srivas. He asked him, I have a question. I asked a question. And Srivas said, yes, why not? What's your question? Whether I have a disease. People are saying I have a disease. Srivas Thakur, he said, what are the symptoms of your disease? He said, whenever I chant Hare Krishna, I cry, my hair is standing on end, sometimes I have perspiring in my body, sometimes my voice chokes up, sometimes I faint. People say that I have a disease. What do you think? And Srivas Thakur said, yes, you have a disease. And I also want that disease. So you have the disease of love for Krishna. So in this house, this ashram, Srivas Thakur had recommended that people in general will not understand your ecstasies. So you should come and chant here, my Lord, my angan, and I will only invite advanced Vaishnavas who can understand your sentiments, your emotions. So that started the nocturnal kirtan at Srivas' house, courtyard. And Lord Chaitanya would come there and chant. People, the door was locked, and people would wait outside the door, and they were not allowed in. Then someone came and was listening to these envious people. I said, do you hear? What are they chanting? What are they singing? Haribo, Haribo! Are they drinking wine and enjoying with prostitutes? No, it sounds like they're chanting Hare Krishna. Ah, are you one of them? Those people are simply envious. And person would walk away. So, I guess those are outside, not allowed in. So, when Brahman was there, Paul, he was worshiping the tantric worship, kind of dark magic. So he put goat blood over the door of Srivas and a big bamboo plate with a goat's head intestines and things. And then he left. On Srivas opened the door, he saw this light on intestines and goat head and things. And then he saw the blood right over his door. He calls the low brown sea. I been worshiping chanting all night. See, everyone else knew that he was a pure Vaishnava. He didn't worship deity or anything. So, who did this? Chi did it. And they had someone come in his door, take away the intestines and heavy, bloody-headed things. For the 3 days, Prabhu Paul, who did this mischief, he got leprosy. And his nose, hands, all affected. In those days, the person who had leprosy, he had to stay outside the city because leprosy is contagious. So he was staying by the Ganges. And one day, Lord Chaitanya came by. So he asked, Lord Chaitanya, you're a Matit Bhagavan, please forgive me for my offense. And Lord Chaitanya said, I will not forgive you. You have offended Srivas. He has to forgive you, otherwise you'll burn in hell. No one ever heard Lord Chaitanya say such a heavy thing. And then two devotees went and Srivas told them what Lord Chaitanya said. They asked Srivas, please forgive Prabhu. Srivas was very humble. He said, I cannot forgive Prabhu. Oh, I'm not. Pleasure can be offended. I'm very honored. So like that. Then the devotee said, listen, you may not think you're a devotee, but Lord Chaitanya does. And he will not deliver this person unless you forgive him. If you want to be the cause of him suffering, no, I don't want to cause anyone suffering. So then Srivas went and forgave Prabhu. At that time, Lord Chaitanya appeared, he embraced Srivas, he embraced Prabhu, and everybody was elevated to the transcendental position. And many pastimes would happen in Srivas' angan. The daily kirtan was going on. And the people, they heard about Lord Chaitanya's kirtan. They wanted to attend, but they could not attend unless they were invited. Once, Srivas' grandmother was hiding there, and Lord Chaitanya stopped the kirtan and said, I'm not feeling ecstasy. Who is responsible? And he was responsible. But Srivas, he remembered that his mother-in-law was there. So he picked up the basket, pulled out his mother-in-law, and said, you're disturbing Lord Chaitanya's ecstasy, you'll leave immediately. And grabbing her by the neck, he pushed her out of the door. And Lord Chaitanya said, who is that? She said, I don't know. Who was that? is like a mother-in-law. Anyone who disturbs you, I don't know them. Srivas, that's the way to deal with your mother-in-law. You grab her by the neck and throw out the doorway. So Srivas, he didn't start anyone who didn't deal properly with Lord Chaitanya.
at the very home of Murari Gupta Prabhu, who is none other than Hanuman in Lord Ramachandra's pastime. He appeared as Murari Gupta Prabhu, an intimate associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu would come here very, very often and perform such intimate pastimes with Murari Gupta Prabhu. Simply by hearing those pastimes, it enhances our devotional life and uplifts our consciousness. So we're very, very fortunate to be here in the house of Murari Gupta Prabhu. And here you can see the beautiful temple of Murari Gupta Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
I'll just tell you one pastime. One day Murari Gupta Prabhu contemplated that Mahaprabhu, being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is fully independent. Whenever he wants, he will disappear from this world. If he does that, this is something that I cannot tolerate. I'll be totally destroyed. I will not be able to handle the situation where Mahaprabhu is no more with us physically. So he made a plan. He thought, it will be a great fortune for me that I leave my body while the Lord is still there performing His beautiful pastime. Let me just see this beautiful pastime, think of Him. Remembering Him, let me leave my body. So he decided to commit suicide. He got a huge knife and he thought that with this knife I will end my life. He got the knife and he hid the knife in his home here. Mahaprabhu, the Super Soul, understanding the desire of Murari Gupta Prabhu, Mahaprabhu actually came running to this place. And when Mahaprabhu suddenly appeared in front of Murari Gupta Prabhu was very surprised but extremely happy. Mahaprabhu did not say anything, he just came and sat, and both of them began to discuss about Krishna's pastimes. After discussing about Krishna for some time, then Mahaprabhu asked something in Murari Gupta Prabhu's ear. He says, Murari, can I ask you something? Murari Gupta Prabhu says, of course, my Lord, you're the Supreme Lord, I'm your servant, anything, tell me. He says, you'll tell me the truth, right? He says, of course, everything belongs to you, my Lord. Why would I lie? He said, get me that knife. Murari Gupta Prabhu was surprised, he was shocked. He said, what knife? I don't have any knife. Then Mahaprabhu began to tell him. He said, how could you even think of ending your life? You're my intimate associate. If you leave this world before me, with whom will I perform my pastimes? And Murari Gupta Prabhu said, "My Lord, I don't know what you're talking about." Of course, he couldn't look at Mahaprabhu's face. He was hanging his head because Mahaprabhu was telling the truth. He said, "I don't have any knife. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know who is spreading these rumors." Mahaprabhu said, "I know exactly who made the knife for you. I even know exactly where you kept the knife." Mahaprabhu just walked into the home of inner chamber of Murari Gupta Prabhu's house, took the knife out and saw it in front of Murari Gupta Prabhu. He said, "What is this?" Mahaprabhu began to cry, thinking that his intimate associate is thinking of ending his life even while I'm still here. Mahaprabhu began to tell Murari Gupta Prabhu, actually begged Murari Gupta Prabhu to never ever think of ending his life. He said, "You should never ever think of ending your life. You have offered yourself to me. Your body belongs to me. How could you even think of ending your life? Never ever think of ending your life." This is a very important instruction to all of us, that we may go through so many hardships, so many impediments, so many difficulties in our life. But through Murari Gupta Prabhu, through Sanatana Goswami, Mahaprabhu taught us to never ever ever think of ending our life, to commit suicide. Mahaprabhu began to cry, and Murari Gupta Prabhu could not control himself, saying how much Mahaprabhu loved him. Mahaprabhu actually picked up Murari Gupta Prabhu and kept him on his lap, and both of them began to cry. So this beautiful pastime took place in this very home of Murari Gupta Prabhu. There are so many other pastimes, but I thought this is a very important lesson for all of us, never to give up. No matter what we have to tolerate, we have to continue with our service. The rest, leave it to Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. So right now, we're in Prithu. For the benefit of mankind, Prithu Maharaj decided to level the earth planet. So when they came here and they were leveling this particular place, there was a great effulgence that was coming out of this place. So Prithu Maharaj was informed about this incident, and Prithu Maharaj personally came to this place to inspect, to see what's going on. Because Prithu Maharaj was Satyavas avatar, he meditated and he saw that in this very place, in the beginning of Kali Yuga, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will appear as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. To serve Mahaprabhu and to serve his associates, Prithu Maharaj built a huge kunda or a huge pond, and therefore it is called Prithu Kunda. Krishna explains to Arjuna that even the lowest of man, if he comes to Nabadwip Dham and takes some water from this kunda and drinks it, or bathes in Prithu Kunda, he will be relieved of all his sinful activities and he will be able to go back home, back to Godhead. So here you can see there is still some water is here, and you can see how big the pond is even today, what to speak of in Satya Yuga. So this is Prithu Kunda. So Krishna is explaining to Arjuna that anyone who takes bath in Prithu Kund will be relieved of all their sinful activities and going back home, back to Godhead. Here the Dhambasi buffalo is definitely taking the full advantage of it. Here you can see, Hari Bol, joy, all glories to the Dhambasis. Hare Krishna. Sucharu Bhaktamandalam Sukarnaratnakundalam Sucharchitanga Chandanam Namami Nandanam Danam Pankajam Sikhi Sikhandamurdhajam Anantakoti Mohanam Namami Nandanandanam. So we're in Chaitanya Math, which is considered the headquarters of all the Gaudiya Maths. This was the headquarters of the 64 Gaudiya Maths that was established by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. This place is known as Brajapattam. Brajapattam means where Vrindavan is manifested. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally performed the first drama here, manifesting the Vrindavan pastime. Later on, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur manifested different elements of Vrindavan Dham, such as Govardhan, Radhakund, and Syamkund here. And therefore, this place is called Brajapattam, or where Vrindavan is manifested. This very house called Bhakti Vijay Bhavan, this was the very house of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. This is where he resided. And this beautiful temple, this is the Purna Samadhi or full Samadhi of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. We'll be going there and paying our respects. Hare Krishna, now we are about to enter the temple of Chaitanya Math. This is one of the first deities that was personally installed by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. This dome is very unique. It has 29 domes, has the deity of the four acharyas, prominent acharyas of the four sampradaya. So let us go in the temple and take darshan of the very beautiful deities here. line is called Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, and this is the deity of Madhvacharya. This is Vishnu Swami. And finally, Sripad Ramanujacharya. On the foothold of Govardhan, Bhakta Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur had his bhajan kutir here, where he chanted 1 billion name, which took many, many years to complete. In order to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world, he sat here for many years and chanted 1 billion name to prepare the field for preaching. He established 64 Gaudiya Maths in India, also in Bangladesh. Of course, Prabhupada took the message of Mahaprabhu and spread all over the world. So we offer our most respectful obeisances, lotus feet of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna. Let us pay our respects to him. As we said before, this is Brajapattam. This is where Mahaprabhu and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur manifested Sri Vrindavan Dham. So in the month of Kartik, by sprinkling the water of Radhakund, by doing Govardhan Parikrama here, you get the same benefit of doing Govardhan Parikrama in Vrindavan. The only difference is that Parikrama takes many, many hours. But this is Mahaprabhu's Dham, most magnanimous. So you can do the whole Parikrama in 5-7 minutes and get the benefit of doing the Parikrama for hours in Vrindavan. Hare Krishna. This place is known different from Vrindavan. Vrindavan is known for tamal trees, because this tree reminded Srimati Radharani of Krishna. The color of this tree reminds Srimati Radharani of Krishna. So it's so amazing to see tamal tree here. So we can come and get mercy of these inhabitants of Vrindavan Dham. You can come and pay obeisances. You can hug, get the blessings. Hari Bol.
Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare.
This is a very special type of kadamba trees. Mayapur kadamba trees are different. Vrindavan kadamba trees are different. So this kadamba tree resembles Vrindavan kadamba tree. Please come. We'll do 7 times Parikrama of Bolo Giriraj Maharaj ki.
Gora, 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 Hari. Gora, 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 Hari. Gora, 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 Hari. Gora, 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 Hari. Gora 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 Hari Gora 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 Hari
Hare Krishna. So we're here at the Chaitanya Math. It's a very wonderful place in Mayapur Dham, one of the most spiritually uh, enlightened place because of the presence of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. The place is called Brajavratan. It means a village in Braja. Chandrasekhacharya lived there, his house was there. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was sent there by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur from Jagannath Puri. So he came and he started to develop what is now known as the Chaitanya Math. And he did a very severe vrata. He was going to chant Ekoti Lakhnam. This means 3 lakhs a day for 10 years. That's the vrata, which he succeeded, he accomplished that. He was living here very austere, like an Nabadrumdwip. He would do the Chatumasha and just go down, eat like a cow on the floor, then come back up again, and then you don't go down again. You just eat one time as much as you want. And he used to have dreadlocks in his head. And he had a little tin shed or tin roof where he used to do his japa. And in the rainy season, he would, rather than going to the trouble of having the fixing the roof, they had a hole in the roof, he just simply put up an umbrella inside the tin roof and chanted his japa under the umbrella. His first disciple here was one son of a barrister in Calcutta. He had heard of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, so he came here to meet him. And he was very impressed. He was going to take initiation from another guru. But anyway, he went back to Calcutta that night. He had a dream and he saw his guru and the guru's so-called guru and his guru's wife. And the guru had become a lion and his wife had become a tiger. And they were slowly approaching Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, his young barrister man, or son of a barrister. Yeah, they were approaching him as a lion and a tiger to devour him. And just as they became close, and suddenly Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur appeared in his dream, chased the tiger and the lion and tiger away. So when the devotee woke up and understanding it's such an astonishing dream, because he's the guru that he had such an astonishing dream that immediately he came back to Mayapur and he asked Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur for initiation. And he was given initiation. That was his first disciple here. When you go to Chaitanya Math, when you come to Mayapur, You will see they have Govardhan Hill there and the Radha Kunda and the Shama Kunda also excavated. So I asked one of Srila Prabhupada's, how Srila Prabhupada's disciples, Prabhupada's godbrother, sannyasi, his name was Damodar Maharaj. I asked him that how come you have this Shamkund, Radha Kund here and Govardhan is here. This is Antardwipa, it's the central island. According to the Nabadwip Dham Mahatmya, according to the Nabadwip Dham Mahatmya, Radha Kund is in Ritudwip and Govardhan is in Koladwip. So how come they're here in Antardwip, Radha Kund, Shamkund, Govardhan? So he told me that because my Guru Maharaj did his bhajan here, and because it was the intensity of his bhajan was so powerful that his bhajan asthana manifested here. He has an eternal place of bhajan at Radha Kunda. And because of his bhajan here, intense bhajan, that sthana or place of worship of bhajan became manifested here. So he was there on the banks of Radha Kund and Govardhan. And he asked, he told his disciples, Radha Kund is here, Govardhan. He said, you can see? The disciples said, no, Guru Maharaj, we cannot see. Yes, they are here. And Shamkund also. They say, can we make these, or can we excavate and make these kundas? He said, you can do that. So now what you see now has been ordered by Bhaktisiddhanta. They excavated and they made a Radha Kund, Shamkund and Govardhan there in Sri Chaitanya Mayapur. And when he built the temple there, he wanted deities, so he went to Jaipur to look for the deity where they make the deities, marble deities. And then the shop owner or the shilpi, he come to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and he said, this is your deity here. He had a lot of deities in his room. He said, these are your deities here, Radha Krishna. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, how do you know they're my deities? And how do you know I'm looking for deities? And how do you know these are my deities? And the shopman said that because last night you appeared in my dream. The deities appeared in my dream. And they said tomorrow one Mahapurusha will come and I want to accept his service. So he said, I can see, but just by looking at you, you are that Mahapurusha. So you please accept these deities as a gift. So he gave them as a gift. And they were installed here, Radha Gandhava Giridhari. Very, very beautiful deities. And his favorite deities were the Gokishore Das Bhadra Maharaj's samadhi is here also. There was some, his first samadhi was made in Nabadwip. Then due to the erosion of the Ganga, it was taken the samadhi away. So immediately the Bhaktisiddhanta bought the samadhi remnants from Nabadwip, what was left, before it got washed away in the Ganga. And he established it in a temple there, right on the bank of Radha Kund. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that many offenses were being made in Nabadwip, and my Guru Maharaj, he did not like to stay there. So therefore, by this arrangement, he is now doing his bhajan on the bank of Radha Kund also. One time, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was walking on this road here, Bhaktisiddhanta Marg, and started with his disciples who told us this story. And suddenly he stopped and he looked up. He said, how degraded they are becoming in this Kali Yuga. So degraded. Even in Chandra Loka, they are becoming degraded. He understood what was going on in the higher planets, specifically the Chandraloka, the moon. And he indicated, many of his disciples reasoned that he indicated he may go to Chandraloka to preach when he left this place. Yeah, another time, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was leaving the mat. It was the middle of the night, so one of his disciples, I think Bhagavat Maharaj, or Brahmachari at that time, he saw his Guru Maharaj leaving the mat, and what's he going to do in the middle of the night? So his disciples began to follow him. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that, who is that following me? He said, it's your disciple, Bhagavat Brahmachari, whoever he was. And he said that, okay, come with me. So they came from Chaitanya Mat down just past ISKCON. It's by the Madhav Maharaj's mat. And there, at that point, they saw Harinam Prema Samkirtan was coming the opposite direction from Hulagad. The road, there's no road there, it goes to the river. And this was, middle of the night, and there's no rickshaws, nothing. But suddenly this kirtan party came, and then when they approached and Bhaktisiddhanta met them, then they were embracing, they were rolling on the ground, all symptoms of ecstasy were being manifested on their bodies. And his disciples, they say, oh, who are they? Who are these people? And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said they came from Shwetadvipa, for darshan of Mahaprabhu. So these guys from these devotees from Shwetadvip, they said that we've come here to hear from your lips. We've heard all about your glories and your service to Sri Mayapur. So we want to hear from you. Of course, Bhaktisiddhanta was, Dasoshmi, I am your servant, he always used to say. But eventually they convinced him, please come and let's hear Gaura-katha. So they came back to the mat and he gave Gaura-katha until the sun started to rise. And then they all left. The Harinam, they left. And that was it, we didn't see them. So on the appearance day of no light. On the appearance day of at the end of his, he took sannyas here from a picture of Gopishada Savji Maharaj. And he took sannyas. And after some time, he writes in his biography that from the eastern side, from the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Jogi, from the eastern side, there was a Prem Samkirtan coming with the Panchatattva there. Everyone was there, the six Goswamis, Gokishore Das Babaji's own guru was there, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And they said that now you should give up your austerities, you should give up your vows. Now you should go out and preach. You don't worry for anything, we're all behind you. Whatever you need, we will supply. Our Lord who we worship is Vamanadev. He can stick his toes through the universe. There's nothing wonderful he cannot do. So we are all behind you. Whenever you need money, we will send money. Whenever you need manpower, we will send. As you need, we will do. But you don't worry for anything. You just fearlessly preach the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all over. So after that, then he gave up his vrata, which he had more or less finished. And then he went to Calcutta and began his preaching there in Calcutta. I have to go where the people are. If I'm going to preach, I have to go there. So he went to Calcutta and began preaching Gauranga's message. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hari Ramo, Hari Ramo, Ram Ram, Hari Hari.
Saurabham Urabirajikostubham. So we are very, very fortunate to be here in the Samadhi of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. Actually, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj's Samadhi was in Nabadwip, on the bank of the Ganges. After the Samadhi was established, after 15 years or so, the Ganges began to move very close to the Samadhi of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, worried that the whole Samadhi might fall into the Ganges. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur arranged that Samadhi be picked up from there and be established here on the bank of Radhakund. And therefore, by the mercy of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, we are able to be here in the Samadhi of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, the spiritual master of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Hare Krishna. Brajangana Sunayakam Sada Sukha Pradayakam Jaganmano Pralobhanam Namami Nandanandanam. Srinandanandanashtakam pathetya sradhayan vita tadedvavakti dustaram. In the month of Kartik, we are very, very fortunate to be here on the bank of Radhakunda, which has been manifested by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. This is Radhakund. Haribol. These are some Dhambasis residing in the water of Radhakund. Hare Krishna. To make this virtual Kartik Nabadwip Mandala Parikrama available to all of you, it took a lot of effort. If you are inspired to contribute for this Kartik Nabadwip Mandala Parikrama, kindly do so. The details are in the description. Thank you.